A warm welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Tuesday, June 11. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Our top story, police want to see stepped-up security on pleasure cruises. That's according to Acting Assistant Commissioner of Police, William Yearwood, on the heels of the fatal shooting of a 32-year-old Dave Archer on board the MV Dream Chaser around 10:30 last night. Archer, a private security guard, lost his life shortly after being involved in an altercation with a patron. Assistant Commissioner Yearwood expressed regret at the incident, describing it as unfortunate. He said the police top brass have always been concerned about pleasure cruises, and it's time for security to be tightened.
We are asking those persons who own these cruise ships to cooperate with us. We have been asking that every person who is on such a ship traveling, that they be known by name or some identification. The same way like you leave the airport. If you are leaving the island, you're just going off the coast, yes, but we think that we should know as police officers who are going to travel on these ships so that we can do, act before. And we would have some good idea of persons who can be suspected to be involved in crime and so on, that we can monitor these situations.
He stressed the need for cruise operators to partner more with police.
In this last instance, it is the security that was actually challenged. So there are certain things in place by law in relation to persons or companies who provide that service. Persons are expected to be registered and to be trained, and to have good relations with persons who are the police, good relations with the police, and give us information as well. Because if a ship is going to go off the coast on such a cruise, and the security personnel identify persons who are involved in crime or are likely to be involved in crime because of what is going on board, we are asking that some communication come back to us ahead of the landing, so that we will be in place to deal with such matters.
Meanwhile, the search continues for the gunman who fatally shot Archer, a resident of West Terrace, St. James. Earlier today, Sergeant Michael Blackman updated reporters on the incident.
Circumstances reveal that the deceased is a private security guard on board the mentioned vessel. He and other security personnel had reason to intervene in a fight which occurred moments before the vessel had docked. Information is that the assailants exited the boat and returned with other persons. Security was alerted, a struggle ensued, and which resulted in the security guard being shot.
To other news this Tuesday, a young man was rushed to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital following a shooting incident at Tweeside Road, St. Michael. Investigations are continuing. An elderly St. Michael man lost his life around 7:50 a.m. today. Warwick Sargent was riding a bicycle and was struck by a car along President Kennedy Road at its junction with First Avenue, Thomas Gap, St. Michael. The car was driven by Dwayne Tull of Waterford, St. Michael. Sergeant Michael Blackman says investigations are continuing.
Involved were a motor vehicle, registration number MG166, which is a dark blue Toyota Levin, driven by Dwayne Tull, 21 years of Waterford, St. Michael, and a pedal cyclist who is about 79 years old of Black Rock. Brief information is that both the pedal cyclist and the motor car were traveling along President Kennedy Drive from Eagle Hall towards the Kensington Oval when the motor car struck the pedal cyclist. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
Wheel and come again. The president of Solutions Barbados, Grenville Phillips, today issued this stern caution to the newly formed People's Party for Democracy and Development. Phillips is peeved that the Bishop Joseph Atherley-led team has chosen the same party color, green, used by Solutions Barbados. In a strong statement, Phillips says while the new party has done nothing illegal, it is highly unethical and deceptive. He insisted that a party which claims to be a party of God, with several pastors as members, should not be engaged in unethical behavior to confuse the public.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news, former Trinidad and Tobago Government Minister Jack Warner has lost his appeal challenging his extradition to the United States. 73-year-old Warner, a former vice president of FIFA, is one of several senior executives of the World Football's governing body who were indicted on a series of charges after an investigation into corruption in football conducted by the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Justice. He is accused of 12 charges related to fraud, racketeering, and engaging in illegal wire transfers. Today, 3 judges of the Court of Appeal upheld the decision of Justice James Aboud to dismiss his judicial review lawsuit, which was filed in September 2017. However, in dismissing the latest claim, the 3-member appeals court stayed the magisterial proceedings for 21 days, pending an application by Warner for permission to argue his case at the London-based Privy Council, the court's highest, that's the country's highest and final court. Warner is challenging the procedure adopted by the Office of the Attorney General in signing off on the U.S. request for his extradition made in May 2015. And on the international front, Hong Kong braced for mass strikes on Wednesday after thousands braved the thunderstorms overnight to stage fresh protests against a proposed extradition bill that would allow people to be sent to mainland China for trial.
Hundreds of protesters out in force in Hong Kong again on Tuesday. They seek to derail a proposed extradition law that would allow people to be sent to mainland China for trial. These marches are ahead of a second round of debate on the bill on Wednesday, and despite the backlash, the Chinese-ruled city's leader, Carrie Lam, has vowed this will go ahead. But outrage over the proposed bill has been brewing for weeks. Business leaders have warned that pushing through the extradition bill could undermine investor confidence in Hong Kong, eroding its competitive advantages. An online petition called for 50,000 people to surround the legislature building, which is currently controlled by a pro-Beijing majority. Officials argue that a loophole has allowed Hong Kong to become a haven for criminals from the mainland. They say this bill would close it. It would specifically allow for extraditions from Hong Kong to Greater China, including the mainland, Taiwan and Macau. Human rights groups have cited the alleged use of torture, arbitrary detentions, forced confessions and problems accessing lawyers in China, where the courts are controlled by the Communist Party, as reasons why the bill should not proceed. China denies accusations that it tramples on human rights. Strikes and transport go-slows were also announced for Wednesday in a last-ditch effort to block the bill.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates to like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good evening.